Hey guys, Mike here from Lunch Money Comics with another comic book roundup video. This is one of those videos where I show off all the cool comic books I found in strange and unusual places that I have not yet shown on the channel. And this is a very important video for me because my summer is about to get crazy. Yeah, I have a lot planned this summer. I have some traveling ahead of me. I'm going down to Heroes Con in North Carolina. I have some vacation time planned with the family, and I have no idea what my upload schedule is going to be like in the near future. So I figured I would do a big roundup video of all this cool stuff while it's still fresh in my memory. Now, when you clicked on this video, you probably noticed it's a little bit longer runtime. And that's because not only do I have a lot of stuff from some very cool places, like flea markets, my favorite place to hunt for comic books, but a lot of the things I want to show you have some really cool comic book history attached to them. History and trivia I didn't even know before I started prepping for this video. And I found it fascinating, and I was really excited to share it with all of you. So yeah, longer video, but hey, get comfortable. I hope you enjoy it. All that being said, if you want to support the channel, guys, head on down, hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And make sure you follow me on Instagram under Lunch Money Comics IG. So as has become sort of customary with these roundup videos, I like to start with a bit of a mail call. Stuff I've received in the mail from viewers of the channel via my local comic shop, His and Her Comics in Greenfield, Massachusetts. I've mentioned this on my channel, guys, many times. People who view the channel send me stuff via my LCS, and you absolutely do not have to do that. I really do appreciate people just reaching out and telling me they get something out of the channel. That being said, there is no cease to my amazement at how thoughtful people are and the amount of thought and care they put into the stuff they send me. But the first thing I want to show you didn't come in the mail. Instead, it was dropped off by a local. There was a bag waiting for me with a little note. This note here is from Jason, and Jason just said some really nice words. Basically said, he got back into comic books after 35 years, had a lot of stuff going on with his life. The reading and collecting, again, really helped him through it, and he's a fan of the channel. I appreciate that, Jason. I really do. But you certainly didn't have to leave me this. Yeah, Jason got for me a Nightcrawler hoodie. It says Banff on it. How cool is that? I'm sure some of you were wondering why I was wearing a sweatshirt at the beginning of summer. I don't care how warm I get, I'm going to wear it through the entire video. Jason, that is very thoughtful of you, my favorite character. I can't say I've ever owned anything this purple in my life, but I absolutely love it. So once again, thank you for the sweatshirt and the very kind words, and I hope I get to bump into you at His and Her Comics very, very soon. So these next comic books have some fantastic history attached to them. Some of that comics history I alluded to earlier. They were sent to me by someone named Kevin, who is a collector from the United Kingdom. He's actually from Birmingham. Birmingham. Did I say that right, Brits? Yeah, Kevin is a longtime collector and viewer of Lunch Money Comics, and because of that, he knows I like foreign comics, and while he was over here stateside in Florida, he thought it would be a good time to ship these to me, and man, these are fantastic, guys, not just because of what they are, but the history attached to them. They are this. These are 3 publications by Allen Class Publishing. Now, if you're American, you probably don't recognize that name, Allen Class, but if you're a Brit, you almost certainly do. So Allen Class was an individual who really loved American pop culture, movies, magazines, books, and yes, comic books. And after World War II, he wanted to start importing a lot of the stuff to the UK. However, after World War II, it was very difficult and expensive to import this stuff. And as a matter of fact, the United Kingdom government actually wanted more of a homegrown publication effort. They wanted more things on British soil. So it kind of became impossible. So how did Allen Class get past this? He just started his own publication company where he reprinted American magazines, monster magazines, which he liked, mystery magazines, and yes, comic books. And this is the format that they took. These are actually black and white anthologies, so there's multiple comic books in here in black and white, and they're reprintings of American comics. And he reprinted Marvel, Charlton, and that's it. He did not print DC at all for whatever reason. Yeah, and for decades, guys, this was the primary way that UK comics readers digested American comics in this format right here, especially in the 50s and the 60s. And in the 60s, this was the primary way UK readers found out about Marvel characters. Yeah, they learned about them in pages of comic books just like this. Now, as time went on, they got into the 70s, there was more ways for American comics to get over there. There was a Marvel UK imprint. As you got into the 80s, there was more, boutique comic shops started opening up. And eventually, Allen Class Publishing closed in the late 1980s. But still, guys, for, pretty much a generation of kids over there, this is what they would read. So Kevin sent me 3 of these, and since he knows what I like, man, he selected some great ones. The first one is this. So this is Sinister Tales. They all have titles like this. And this cover right here is a reprinting of X-Men number 56, covered by Neil Adams. Living monolith right there. So as an X-Men fan, as a Neil Adams fan, this is right up my alley. Great choice, Kevin. Same thing with this one. Astonishing Stories. This cover right here is by Jim Steranko. This is a cover from Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. with a big robot. Very cool. But the most special one is certainly this last one. Another Astounding Stories. Now, I don't recognize this cover. I'm guessing it's a Charlton comic. But if you look down here on the poly bag, in the corner, there's a sticker, and it says the Allen Class Private Collection. Yeah, if you look at the COA on the back, this came from the personal collection of Allen Class. And who signed this COA? Allen Class himself. Yeah, guys, someone who's very instrumental in getting comic book stories into the hands of kids in Britain in the 60s. Yeah, I have something that was owned by him. How cool is that? Kevin, what a spectacular thing to send me. These aren't just comic books that go in my normal, foreign comic box. This is something really special that I get to add to my collection. So thank you so much for that. And guys, when I was doing my research before this video, reading about Allen Class, I only knew the name. I didn't know that history. Hopefully some of you over here stateside who didn't know the story appreciated a little bit of that history. I thought it was pretty cool, and now I have a piece of that history in my collection. So this next package I got from, man, I'm warming up quick. I'm keeping the sweatshirt on the whole time though, Jason. Don't worry about it. This next package came from Jay of J&B's Expensive Paper. Yeah, Jab's Expensive Paper is another comic book YouTube channel. I've talked about them on my channel in the past. Well, Jay saw some comic books he thought I would enjoy, sent them to me with a very nice letter. And like I say, guys, people know exactly what I like. And Jay was spot on with this one because this first one's a foreign language comic. I love those, and one of my favorite titles ever. This is a Tomb of Dracula comic book. It's a reprinting of Tomb of Dracula 34 in Swedish. So how cool is that? Again, I love Tomb of Dracula and foreign comics. This is perfect. And also, this is actually in pretty good shape with the exception of this little docked corner. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe it was a used comic or is discounted. It doesn't matter, guys. It's an awesome comic book. Happy to add it to my foreign language collection. But the other comic book is very different. They said they did a video about a month ago on 2 local comic book creators, and they sent me a comic book from them. It's this. This is called Smarg, and it was created by Paul Hallgren and Jesse Switters, who signed it right here. You see a little business card in the back. And yeah, I know nothing about this, guys, but I'm absolutely going to add this to my summer reading program. I love reading independent stuff, guys. You have no idea how many good comic creators are out there. So J&B's Expensive Paper, thank you guys so much for these. Once again, guys, if you've never checked them out before, I'll put a link down in my description. Great channel. Absolutely check them out. So I have one more rule, guys. Because Nishan is such a nice guy and he plays the part of mailman wonderfully, I make it a point that every time I pick up packages from the store, I have to buy something. It's a personal rule of mine. So when I was up there grabbing some of these, I saw this book on the shelf and I had to get it. It's this. This is X-Men number 37. Like I said, I'm trying to fill in the entire X-Men run. I'm going all the way back into the Silver Age now. This is a book that I didn't quite have. They're going up against Factor 3, a supervillain team that had the likes of Banshee before he ended up being a good guy. Yeah, didn't own it before. Let's get some color breaks. That's okay. I can't even remember how much I got this for, like 25, 30 bucks. Either way, guys, one more book to add to my X-Men run. And once again, Nishan, thank you so much. People keep sending me stuff. I'm going to keep buying stuff from the store. I guess we both win, right? So this last comic book that was mailed to me was not sent via His and Her Comics. Instead, it was sent directly to my house because it came from a friend. It came from Travis of Comics Limited. He is a comic YouTuber from the Pacific Northwest, also on Instagram, also sells on Whatnot. He's a personal friend of mine. I got to meet him last year when I visited Portland, Oregon. Did an amazing original piece of art for me, and a really good guy. Out of the blue, he sent me a comic book he knew I would like, and he's right. It's this. So, for some of you modern comic book collectors, this may look familiar. It's kind of hot right now. Basically, back in the 90s, Jim Lee did those X-Men cards. Well, in one of those sets, I think the first set, there was a 9-card collage of the X-Men fighting in the Danger Room. It was broken into 9 cards. You put them all together, it's a cool collage of them fighting. Pretty neat. Well, Tyler Kirkham this year decided to do something similar with comic covers. He basically homaged it. Instead of cards, your comic book covers. 9 different covers, you put them together. The X-Men are in the Danger Room, and the one in the upper left, I guess you would say, was Nightcrawler. That's what you have here, and this is a special one because it's the Virgin variant. So this is fantastic, and as a bonus, he threw in this one here, Uncanny X-Men number 3 from last year, the fuzzy blue elf right on front. So Travis, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to bump into you soon, buddy. I was really great meeting you last year. Hope to see you soon. So one of those times driving home from His and Her Comics, I stopped at the house of my good friend Larry, who goes by the name Magic Geeks Online. Larry and my friend Josh sell on Whatnot as Magic Geeks. They're also big-time local sellers and even bigger comic book collectors, and they're really good friends of mine. Well, on one of these days driving home, I knew they were having a Whatnot show, and I dropped in unannounced. I love going to these Whatnot shows they do, guys, because they're really funny, and we have a really fun time, a really good rapport. And when I show up like that, they tend to stick me in front of the camera, and I can talk a little bit. So I have a good time. But on this day, I want to surprise them a little bit more. I brought a whole bunch of comic books for free giveaways. I just like doing that, guys. It's even more fun when some of the people in the Whatnot stream, watch Lunch Money Comics. So that was fun. Way to give away some comic books, hang out with some friends. We did it for a little while, and then we're going to go out to eat. However, Josh had contacted me about a comic book he saw on my channel. I had recently picked up a House of Secrets 88 at a flea market, and I love this comic book, guys. Awesome horror cover, Neil Adams, absolutely a keeper in my collection. Except Josh probably wanted it more. He absolutely needed to have this book. He told me to bring it. I wasn't planning on trading it, but he wanted it so badly. He's like, listen, I have a box of mostly modern stuff. Go in there, take out whatever you want, and we'll work out details later if you need more. So that's what we did. I wanted him to have the book, and I picked out some modern comics. This certainly does not raise the level of that comic book I let go, but he also treated me to lunch afterwards. And I told him if he ends up with a comic book I can't live without, I get first dibs. So this is what I picked out, guys. First up, we have Wolverine Origins number 10. This is the first appearance of Daken, which is Wolverine's son. I actually own this book, but I own a different variant cover. This is the iconic cover, the money book, so to speak, showing Daken's claws right there. This book's come way down in value, guys, but still, I didn't own it in my collection. As an X-Men fan, I need to have it. I'm excited about this book. This is all new Ghost Rider number 1, and this is the first appearance of the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider you see right there. Those of you that watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., remember that TV show? Yeah, they had a season where they had the Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider, and he's a cool Ghost Rider. He's different than the other ones for a couple of reasons. One, his skull looks different. It's more of a helmet, and the other one is, instead of riding a motorcycle, he drives a car. Not just any car, a cool car. It's a 1969 Dodge Charger. It's called the Hell Charger. How cool is that, guys? I'm not a huge motorcycle guy, but I am a muscle car guy. I love this character. Heck yeah, so I'm happy to finally have this in my collection. The last two were just silly ones I grabbed real quick. This one just jumped out to me. This is Night Terrors number 2. It's from 2023. It's a DC comic by Ivan Rice, at least did the cover. And it's a neon cover that glows in blacklight. And it's got some of my favorite characters on there, like Deadman. I just like the cover. Look cool. I threw the blacklight on it. It was awesome. And the last one, this is just a silly one. This is X-Force number 25. This is part of the Fatal Attraction storyline. All 6 parts that crossed over all the X-Men titles. Had a different hologram. You see Cable right there. But this one was signed by Greg Capullo. Look at that. We have a COA on the back, and it's numbered 1 of 7,500. So that was pretty cool. So Josh, cool comic books. Thanks for lunch. You still owe me. So whenever I visit my folks who live outside of Boston, that's an opportunity for me to hit some of my old comic book hunting grounds that I don't get to frequent as often since I moved out here to Western Massachusetts. While I was visiting my folks, the whole family, and then it was time to go home, drive back here, but I couldn't leave without stopping by one of my favorite local shops, Nick's Comic Strip in Danvers, Massachusetts. I love this shop, guys, not just for the comic books. It's an incredible store for vintage toys, lots of eye candy, fantastic owners that give to charity every single year. I love this store. I didn't have a ton of time to go in there. My daughter also wanted to buy something, so she was looking at little toys and stuff. I looked at the awesome wall books, and I saw this, and I just had to have it, not just because of the amazing cover, but because it's something that I think is definitely going to be in the news a lot this summer, and sort of a hot book right now. Yeah, it's this. This is Superman number 680 from 2008, and you can see why it's popular now. It's an Alex Ross cover of Crypto, the super dog, and I think everyone expects that Crypto is going to steal the show in this summer's Superman movie. I got it, guys, because it's an Alex Ross cover. He made a big impact on me when I started collecting, and also, look at the doggy. It's awesome, right, guys? This is a great, great cover, but because of the hype of the movie, this comic book has gone up quite a bit in value, and I probably wouldn't have spent a lot on this book, but it was priced at $25, and I had a coupon. When you buy lots of things at Nick's Comic Strip, you get a discount on your next purchase. I got it for $20, which I think is a great deal, considering I see it going for $30 to $50 online. Once again, guys, if you really like this cover, and why wouldn't you, I would wait until after the movie. I'm guessing it will come back down to earth. But for right now, guys, I really wanted this book. I want to talk about it on the channel, and I love Alex Ross. And look at the doggy. It's amazing. Let me know, you Superman, you crypto collectors, and you dog lovers, what you think of this book, and if you think $20 is a good deal. I certainly think so. So while I was also visiting my folks, I saw the opportunity to go to one of my favorite flea markets ever. I got up super early in the morning before everyone else got up, and I went to Todd Farm Flea Market in Rowley, Massachusetts. Now, I used to live in this area, guys. It's incredibly old. Some of the oldest houses in all of the United States. It's seaside, it's quaint, and it's a great place to go to hunt for antiques. That's primarily why I always went to this show when I lived in the area. But on this day, I was hunting for comic books, of course, and because I know a lot of sellers in the area, I saw at least 3 people that I knew who were selling comic books. Despite all the comic books, I only ended up buying one of them. I got it from a guy named Rick, who often sets up there, sometimes brings comic books. On this day, he brought a ton of comics, put a ton out front, 50% off the sticker price, and he had some nicer books in the trunk. But yeah, despite having some great books, I only got one, and the reason why I got it was, it made me laugh. There's worse reasons to get a comic book, guys. I just love this cover, and you'll see why. It's this. This is the Brave and the Bold number 50. This is co-starring the Green Arrow in The Martian Manhunter. It's from 1963, art by George Roussos. And no knock on George Roussos, guys, but this cover just made me laugh. I mean, Green Arrow looks so hokey. Looks like a second-rate, Robin Hood. And I don't know what's going on with Martian Manhunter. He looks really nerdy, and I really like it, guys. This, to me, early 1960s DC. It's kind of hokey, but I love it. I love the trade dress. And let me know, DC fans, if you like this comic book. I don't know what it was. It spoke to me. Again, half price. I got it for $13. Not in the best shape, but good enough for me. I thought it was fantastic. Let me know down in the comments if you agree. So that's the only comic book that I got at Todd Farm. But Todd Farm isn't the only flea market in the area. Just down the street is a small antique consignment shop with a big lawn area. And on the same day they do Todd Farm, they do a small flea market there. Well, on this day, on the way home, I saw only 2 people set up. But wouldn't you know it, one of those vendors had boxes of comic books. I couldn't believe it. I ended up talking to the owner, a really cool guy. He's actually on YouTube, not for comic books. He actually has a channel about old vintage film, like 16mm film. So if you're into that sort of stuff, I'll put a link down in my description. Otherwise, he has some really interesting stuff, including underground stuff, indie stuff, and local homegrown stuff, which is why I was so excited to find these 5 comic books. These are all comics related to The Tick. Now, I talked about The Tick recently on my channel because I found some omnibuses I want to read. I've never read The Tick. I watched the TV show and the cartoon. Haven't read The Tick. I want to read more. But when I mentioned The Tick before, I neglected to mention a very important part, that The Tick, similar to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, is another New England creation. Yeah, The Tick was created in 1986 by an 18-year-old kid named Ben Edlin. And originally, he was created to be a mascot for a local comic store chain called New England Comics. Originally it was just for their newsletter, but it ended up being so popular that they ended up fronting the bill for an entire comic series. And before you knew it, guys, they had TV shows, cartoons, and video games. So, yes, I've never read The Tick, but the local connection definitely appeals to me. So I was really, really excited to find all of these. So let's go through all of them. First up, we have this here. This is Tick Karma Tornado. Nice, thick comic book here. From what I read, this fills in the blanks between some earlier issues. So I'm excited to read this. Here's an interesting one. This is the Collected Paul the Samurai. So there's a whole universe of Tick-related characters. And this is one of them, Paul the Samurai. And there's a whole bunch of issues here all about Paul. I've never read anything about Paul the Samurai, but the art is cool. And again, if I'm dipping my toes into this universe, I gotta read it all. Speaking of which, hey, I don't know all these characters, but that's okay because I got this. This is Tick's Giant Circus of the Mighty number 1 and number 2. And what this is an encyclopedia of all the Tick universe characters. You see right here, the first issue is A through O. And the second issue is P through Z. So you learn all about the characters like the Tick and his sidekick Arthur and Paul the Samurai's right there and the Man-Eating Cow and many, many more. Very cool, guys. Also, this is in really good shape. So excited to get this. But the best pickup, I think by far, is this. This is The Tick number 5 first print. You see the old New England Comics logo right here. First print, guys. And just to show you how early this is, the issue before this is when you're introduced to his famous sidekick Arthur. So guys, I'm super excited to pick this up, and yeah, I'm going down the rabbit hole. I'm going to read as much Tick as I can, and I really want to collect as much as I can. Pretty excited to pick these up. I got all 5 of these comics for $20, which I think is a fantastic deal. Let me know down in the comments if you are a Tick fan, and if so, spoon. So next, I need to revisit a recent video that I did where I went to the house of a local collector who's trying to sell some of his comic books. Great guy named Dave. We hit it off really well. I got some fantastic comics to show on the channel. And I also made friends with his brand new kitten named Penny. And Penny was an awesome cat and sort of stole the show in the video. Lots of people told me down in the comments. Well, when I was going through the footage editing that video, I noticed a lot more comic books that he had that I wish I kind of picked up. So I reached out to Dave. I'm like, hey, you know, if you don't mind, I'd like to go back over there and grab some comic books. And he definitely could use the money. So he's like, absolutely, come back. But I had an ulterior motive because I showed my daughter the footage of the kitten and she had to go back. So I told Dave, hey, I'm gonna go back and look at these comic books, but my daughter really wants to meet Penny. He's like, bring her over. So I was already planning to go back to get these comic books, but I guess you could say my daughter wanting to meet the kitten was the catalyst to go back. Catalyst, cat. You know, the unsubscribe button's also down below. So there were 3 more comic books that I wanted to pick up from Dave. Here is the first one. This is Web of Spider-Man number 36. It's from 1987, and this is known as the first appearance of the Spider-Man villain Tombstone. Yeah, very cool comic book. I already own it. This is an upgrade copy. Happy to grab this one. This next one is really awesome. I was kind of kicking myself that I missed it the first time. Happy to go back and remedy that. It's this. This is Amazing Adventures number 15. This is featuring The Beast. It's from 1972. We have a Starlin and Sinnot cover, and this has some key significance. This is the first appearance of the blue furry beast. I need to qualify that quite a bit because everyone, I think, knows Hank McCoy from the beginning of X-Men number 1 all the way up into the 70s. Looked mostly human. He kind of has like an ape-like body, big, tough guy, but he was not covered in blue fur. Well, that started to all change in this issue. This is another one from my collection. This is Amazing Adventures number 11. And this is the first time we get the furry beast. Hank McCoy is experimenting on himself, accidentally turns himself into the furry beast we all know. Well, not completely how we know him, because you see his fur is not blue, it's gray. Well, I think we all know that gray doesn't often translate to the page very well. In fact, notoriously, Hulk originally in the very first issue was gray. Starting with issue 2, they're like, this ain't gonna work. They made him green. The Beast sort of fell into the same bucket. They made him gray, but he didn't really look good. So to spice it up a bit, starting with this issue right here, they made him blue. To be clear, the intent of the book was that he was black. He was in black fur, but you can't do all black in a comic book. They just look like a silhouette. So ways around that, you put another highlight color, sometimes gray or blue. Blue is often a highlight for all black. For instance, you see it with Superman's hair. So here you have the Beast highlighted in blue, but after a couple of issues, people just started to believe that, hey, the Beast is a blue furry creature, and it just stuck. And now Beast has been blue ever since. So, although this is the first furry Beast, this is the first blue furry Beast. As an X-Men fan, guys, of course I had to have this. How could I possibly overlook it going up against the Griffin, who kind of looks like Omega Red, right? Awesome book. And then the last one, this is one that was shown quite a bit in that video I did with Dave. Wasn't a book I was that interested in because it's modern, but again, Dave needed the money, and this is kind of a cool book. Some people love this cover. Yeah, this is Hulk Volume 2, number 1 from 2008. This is Ed McGuinness, art and cover, and this is the first appearance of the Red Hulk. This is Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, sort of arch enemy to Bruce Banner and also his father-in-law. And yeah, he turns into the Red Hulk, although you don't know it's Thunderbolt Ross in this issue. You don't find out actually until years later. So there's the Red Hulk, and I think anyone who saw Captain America Brave New World, he's now in the MCU, played by Harrison Ford, taking over the role of Thunderbolt Ross from William Hurt, who sadly passed away a few years ago. But guys, listen, a lot of people didn't love that movie. It was definitely sort of a mid-Marvel movie, but I think the Red Hulk they did very well. I could have used a lot more Red Hulk in that movie, and he is a cool character. This is a modern comic book. You want these to be in really good shape. This one, not so much. Definitely mid-grade. It's got some color breaks. Got a blunted corner there. Still, I think I got it for a pretty good price. Me and Dave looked them up online. I got all these for $80. A little bit of back and forth, but $80 for all these. I think it's a great deal. And yeah, you know, I made friends with Dave. You know, we have plans to look at more comic books in the future. So thanks to him, I have some great comic books to add to my collection, and my daughter now wants a kid. So the last comic that I want to show you, I actually got on Whatnot. Now, I don't often shop on Whatnot, but when I do, I use Whatnot credit. I've mentioned this on my channel in the past very sparingly. I have a Whatnot referral code. If you've never used Whatnot before, if you sign up with that code, you get a random discount on your first purchase. You basically get credit, and I also get a little bit of credit. And although I don't mention it very often, I've mentioned it enough in the past that I've built up some credit and been able to get some really cool comic books. And that's exactly what happened here. You know, I had some credit building up. I said, hey, I should probably spend it. Before I show you the comic book, guys, if you want to take advantage of that referral code, check my description. I always leave it there. Yeah, so I jumped on random time of day. I'm like, I have this money to spend, and I saw a thumbnail that appealed to me. It was a thumbnail that was showing Golden Age comics. Let's check it out. It was by a seller named Kollect with a K. And yeah, he was only jumping on for a short amount of time. He had a bigger show coming up in a couple days. But in this quick half an hour he was going to be on, he had some absolutely awesome stuff. He had some Golden Age Captain Americas. He had a Golden Age Marvel Mystery Comics. I got one of them earlier this year. Absolutely love it. But he also had some PreCode Horror books. Some of them were EC, and he had one that was from a Marvel predecessor, Atlas Comics. Now, I'm not a huge PreCode fan, but these were all such low grade. I knew I could probably get them pretty cheap, but this one really stuck out to me because it presented so great for its grade. So, you know, he had a price on it. I threw out another price. He put it up for bid, and I got it with my credit. I'll tell you how much that was at the end. But just know, I basically got this for free. And what did I get? This is Uncanny Tales number 20, published by Marvel predecessor Atlas Comics in 1954. Now, I would call this PreCode Horror. You can tell it's horror, right? You get this crazy specter zombie thing with disembodied hands terrorizing this poor individual. And it's 1954. The thing is, the code, when we say PreCode, we mean the Comics Code Authority. You probably recognize this little stamp they put in the top corner of comic books. This also started in 1954, but you didn't start seeing this until 1955. So I think most people know what the story is with this. Comic books in the 30s and 40s and into the 50s were publishing all sorts of absolute horrible stuff, right? Horror stories, violent stories, true crime. They were sexualizing women, just incredible violence. And a lot of people thought it was corrupting the youth of the time. This is all exacerbated when an individual came out with a book called Seduction of the Innocent, where he made that claim that these comic books were just ruining the youth of America. The backlash was big. They had congressional hearings in Washington, and it resulted in creating the Comics Code Authority, which severely restricted what publishers could put in comic books. And this went on for decades before they sort of started loosening the code. Well, even though this is 1954, it is before the Comics Code Authority, and therefore it is pre-code. Now, that isn't the only history lesson I wanted to add to this. Most people know that. What I want to point out is this. There's a little star right here and a little box above it, and it's the initials ACMP, which stands for the Association of Comic Magazine Publishers, and that little star says conforms to the Comics Code. How is that possible if it's before the Comics Code Authority? Well, that's because this wasn't the first Comics Code. So that backlash that people had against the comic industry had been going on for years. People already sort of saw the writing on the wall, and in 1948, they came up with this Comics Code, right? It was put on basically by this Association of Comic and Magazine people. They came up with it, but it was self-imposed, right? And basically self-officiated. Certain comic companies said, yeah, we'll throw that little star on there. Other companies like DC did not, but no one really checked to see if they conformed to it. And the reason why you've never heard of it is because it's sort of a joke. It didn't work. This one worked. This one didn't do anything. In fact, you know, one of the rules they had was no torture. There's some pretty famous covers that there's clearly torture happening on the cover, and the little star is right above. They just kept printing the same stuff, guys. That's why you get the star right here, Comics Code Authority, and you still have a horror cover. Because of that, guys, I think it's a really cool footnote in history. There was more than one comics code. This one just wasn't very effective. So yeah, guys, again, I'm not a huge pre-code horror fan, but hey, I could definitely get into it if I can find them cheap. This is very low grade. In fact, you know, when they first put it up there, it looked like the cover was intact, but ended up being that it was detached, and I ended up getting this for $40. Again, it cost me nothing. That was all credit, but even if it was just $40 cash, I think that's actually a great deal. I take that back. It actually cost me $4.81 shipping. So I got this book still for less than $5, guys. Yeah, it's in bad shape, split spine, you know, the corners are sort of chewed up. I don't care. I think it presents pretty good. Certainly, you can't beat it for the price. So this is my first foray into Atlas PreCode comics. Let me know down in the comments, especially if you're a PreCode collector, what do you think of this? Does it present pretty good? And hopefully you guys appreciated that little story with the various comics codes. Again, that's something I didn't really know much about. I've seen this star. I didn't know what it was. Happy to learn about it. Hopefully some of you got something out of it. And yeah, once again, if you're interested in that whole referral code thing, check down in my description. You might get some free comic books, and maybe I'll get some more free ones too. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this longer roundup video. I got a lot of stuff, more stuff than I can hold up right now, but head on down to the comments and let me know which one of the comics I showed in this video was your favorite. And again, a huge thank you to all the people who sent me something. Guys, I say it a million times, you do not have to send me anything. Just let me know that you get something out of the channel is all I need. But to that end, I should just thank everybody who watches this channel. I don't say it enough. People who have supported this channel over the years. It means more to me than you could possibly know. It really touches the hearts when I hear that people get something positive out of the channel. So once again, thank you to everyone for watching the channel. And in the meantime, keep hunting for comic books in strange and unusual places. You can find them everywhere. Thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully I see you soon with a new video sooner rather than later.